Yo, Mana Squad, if you like any of the cards you see in today's video, make sure to hit up the affiliate link down below to TCG Player. You can help look up some of your local game stores in the process and help show the channel some love. And you know you got to look good while you play in order to play good. So make sure you hit up our link to Into the AM as well. We have the discount code down in the description below. Look, you got to listen to Kenneth the Heathen, and he always says something about dripping in space and screaming. We don't know what it means, but do what the man says. And last but not least, hit up Heavy Play. Heavy Play is going to have some of the nicest playmats and deck boxes out there. Their magnet system between their deck box and dice trays and playmat is amazing, especially if you're playing at like bars, restaurants, stuff like that. You got to get up and move. There is no better way to keep all your stuff together, and you can show the channel some love in the process. Stay petty.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Command Center, where we like to put our favorite commander, maybe even yours, front and center. And you know we can't do it unless we play those three harmonious letters, EDH. What does it stand for today, Hadoken?
You know what? It's been a whole year and y'all still don't know what this means. I'm very disappointed in y'all, you know, all y'all C students out there. But it stands for Embracing Different Horizons. That's right. It's another year coming to an end. You know what that means? Another year is beginning. Stuff is about to get real, and we about to get wild in them streets. We have hope for the future. That's right. A SpongeBob equipment jellyfish net is on the horizon, and I am here for it. But until we go down that merry way to the Krusty Krab. Wait, what are we talking about today?
I'm quicker to embrace those horizons than any more modern horizons. Let's stop those. I'd rather have a jellyfish net than another modern horizon. So I don't embrace all. We're embracing most horizons.
First of all,
here.
Modern Horizon ain't nothing but Commander Legends Part 2. Let's put that on the plate right now. We know Modern Horizons was built for Commander players, except people were pissing and moaning, why did Commander players get all the work? Yeah, okay. You don't say nothing with CEDH players are standing outside in the hot sun drinking mayonnaise, but y'all just let that go in church socks. y'all just let that slide.
My only two comments are, one, I think Modern Horizons was before Commander Legends, and two, Modern Horizons notoriously is 90% of Modern. Modern is now just Modern Horizons Limited, effectively. So it hit the mark a little too.
Everybody knows all modern is who could get out the one ring the fastest. That's all it is. Speaking of which, word on the street is it may get restricted, and you already know the nerds are gonna freak out. They're gonna get up from their basements, wipe the crust off their lips and pants, and take their stiff socks and attack people with it.
What are we actually talking about today?
Y'all just let me go, so I'll wait. Okay.
Yeah. So, like you said, it's been a whole year. So I guess we're at that time now where we need to, I guess maybe project forward to next year as far as like. We kind of did a wrap up last year as well as far as how we want to do things differently going into the new year as Magic players or as Commander players. And so, I don't know, maybe as Magic players, you guys, we talked about this last time too. Maybe you're going to be streaming some, maybe you're going to be doing Magic online or some variation of whatever Magic is doing with computers. I forget. And then also, hey, maybe you might try out Modern and become a one ring fanatic. I don't know if you balled in like that, but yeah, we definitely want to talk about it, especially what we're doing as Commander players in the next year. Maybe we want to shake things up, test out some different play styles, play some unsets. I don't know. If you want to get nasty, do what you want to do. I don't know. Derik, how you feeling?
I was about to say, yeah, this is the time of year. It's the most fun time because we get to make all of these resolutions that will inevitably break within the first 2 weeks of the year. I think most people make it maybe 6 or 7 days. Yeah, I'm new year, new me, and I lied completely. So that's the most fun part about this, because you can say anything, and if you just say it's a resolution, people are gonna be like, good for you, despite the fact that no one's gonna follow through with them. So we're gonna talk about what us as Commander players want to do differently and what our resolutions are for 2025 and what all that that naive joy and hope that we have for the better players and people will be until we inevitably, got it right that time, devolve into complete monsters as we do in most years.
Well, first of all, I follow up with them and I call them liars because that's what they are. They're liars, okay? That's what they're heathens of the highest order. Like CEDH paper.
What if you had somebody who just tracked down people with all their New Year's resolutions and called them out in real time every time they broke it? You just track all your friends every time they said, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And you pop out of nowhere, like the Kool-Aid man out the side of a wall as soon as they do it wrong and be like, oh, no, resolution.
I'm the Santa Claus. I'm the Santa. Sorry.
Yeah. We should have a Krampus of New Year's resolutions. If you don't keep your New Year's resolution, a Krampus version of that is going to find you.
Will haunt you.
And force you to keep at least one of those resolutions.
Yeah, and what I do is like I don't keep a naughty list. I just keep a full of shit list because that's what I say with people who break it. And what I do is I go and I steal all the toilet paper out of their bathrooms, and I always dip all their socks in water, so they got to put on wet socks.
True evil. The truest of evil. All right, so for real.
All right.
But before we look into the future, how about we do this? What went well? Went well this year? What do we feel was a misfire this year? Before we look into the future, how about we do that?
Excellent idea. Excellent idea.
Question.
I honestly think that everyone kept their fingers close to the. How do you say that phrase? Kept your finger on the pulse.
Finger on the
something
pulse?
about a scale. I don't know. Whatever.
Tip the scales, finger on the pulse, turntables turning. I got you.
Ring around Rosie.
All the cliches.
But basically, I think that everybody, for the most part, in the community, whether you were online or whether you were just a avid Magic player going to your LGS, you were pretty much in the know about everything going on in Magic these days. It didn't take long for word to spread about Thunder Junction and its oddness and with the story. It didn't take long to hear about the reception of, was it Markov or Karlov's Manor? I still to this day.
Karlov's Manor.
Yeah, that in itself was like a memeable thing in real time as far as like what even is this set. So it was like people were reacting in real time to these sets as for the 2 weeks that we were able to play them at a time before the next one was previewed and came out. So with my little mini rant right there, you can kind of see what I thought about this year as far as at least the beginning of Magic starting off. But I do think that it ended off in kind of a well-rounded kind of way in a sense as far as the sets themselves at least. So started off a little shaky, but some good things here and there. Around modern time, I think things started changing.
Yeah, and to give the full rundown, because we have done sort of we won't go into detail of these sets, but to remember what was in 2024, because that's always difficult to do. We started with Ravnica Remastered, went to Murders at Karlov Manor, it was Karlov, Fallout, Thunder Junction, Modern Horizons 3, Assassin's Creed, Bloomborough, Duskmourn, and now Foundations. That's a lot, but I do agree with you. To me, the overall takeaway is part of me does, and I feel like it's really come around towards the end of the year, but for the majority of this year, it was like the year of the meme, where it's like we have the detective set. Everyone's got a goofy hat. Now we go to the cowboy set. Everyone's got a cowboy hat. Next we go into Bloomborough. They're all cute.
Everybody's a furry.
Because I thought Bloomborough was going to be more of that, and Bloomborough was great. I actually loved Bloomborough, the flavor and stuff, and it felt good. Duskmourn, I liked it a lot, but was hit or miss because it was kind of like, what if everyone was just in an 80s movie? And it felt like very cliche and memey, but then Foundations was great, so it was kind of like the year came around, I think. But obviously, it felt like it was a blur. It also felt like people were a lot more engaged. You mentioned, obviously, the biggest drama of the year was a lot of the ban list stuff, the changing of the rules committee and all that. Again, we didn't talk about when it happened. We got no interest in talking about it now. There's not really a lot of nuance to bring to that. It kind of just like was not a fun time, to be completely honest. People acted like insane people for literally no reason, and damn near ruined some people's lives because of a game.
Hold on.
I don't want to give my full thoughts because I won't stop once I get started.
Let me speak on this. Y'all better be glad I wasn't on the rules committee because I would have banned so many things. Then I would have stood outside in a lawn chair and said, "Come at me, bro." You ever tell you what my list started off? First of all, the color blue. The color blue was going to be gone completely. All right. We were going to take blue off the map. All those, yeah. Look at me in that tone of voice if you want to. You was about to catch it. I was just going to start taking random stuff too. Like I was going to just start taking like the Black Titan and the Green Titan. No, I was going to bring the Green Titan back, get rid of the Zombie Titan. And then put a Teen Titan in there. I was gonna get rid of Soul Ring. I was gonna get rid of any zero cost mana rock was gone. As a matter of fact, I was about to break into the rules community, and they was like, "Sir, this is a Wendy's." So y'all better be glad that I wasn't on the rules committee, because as a matter of fact, you know what? Shits and giggles, I was gonna ban half the red cards too, because I'm tired of stuff getting burnt to the face. You better be glad I wasn't on there. As a matter of fact, I'm starting my own rules committee with blackjack and hookers. I'm sorry, I kind of lost myself.
Ken would have been that NBA ref that starts starting shit with the player just for shits and gigs, and then immediately turns double text and throws them out of the game, and then starts pissing out and just goes down the line. Like 100%. Like there was a ref that one time threw Tim Duncan out of a game for laughing on the bench. Didn't even say a word. He giggled, and the ref gave him this look of death, pointed, and threw him out. That would have been Ken. A giggle, a sideways look, everybody would have been gone. Everything would have been banned.
But then Tim Duncan came back in the game and scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 100%. 2 goals, 2 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure there was some sort of a home run mixed in as well.
Is this when he was with the Spurs?
Yeah, so... Wow, yes. Okay, I was expecting a random team to be named, but you did name the correct team. That threw me off way more than if you had said a random
only
team
on the Spurs
name.
for like
okay.
10 decades.
30 years. Yeah. All of our lives. Okay, so yeah, overall thoughts. I hope the the 2 takeaways from this year, I think, are, 1, I like the turnaround. I really enjoyed the end of the year. I think there was a lot of... It felt like we were a movement while there was all the memeable stuff. It felt like a big movement in the right direction power level wise. I didn't notice as much commander power creep this year as I had in previous years. And that was kind of the best thing for me. I can't think of a bunch of cards off the top of my head from this year that I immediately have to like roll my eyes at. I can't. I can think of some fun stuff that I've worked into decks. I can't think of anything off the top that's eye roll worthy.
For this year, right? I mean, Voja was
the
topic of the
Voja. That's true. So I guess Voja's the only... No, that's a good point. It feels like 17 years ago. So I think Voja's really the only one. But in general, like there were 24 commander decks, I think, this year, which is... I think there were 24 commander decks. And I can't think of any, like, the busted... There's not new free spells, not new, like, eminence, nothing like that. And I think the other takeaway, again, with the bans, the world is okay. Everyone is still playing commander. So all y'all that were assholes... Ken's foot to your ass ASAP. If you even have a thought of acting like that again, it literally like.
To be fair,
yeah.
To be fair, they were assholes before the ban.
That's true. It was just an outlet for them to be even worse. Okay, we're gonna get to more positive thoughts. Let's look ahead to 2025. So overall, though, I think we enjoyed 24. Right? I don't think any of us looked at 24 as like the death of Magic. Like I think it was like a pretty good year.
Well, not us. Not us. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I had a couple of goods about 2024 that I want to put out.
Okay. Yes.
One, a couple of goods that I had about this year that was great to see was one, Bloomburrow was a smash. Offspring had to be a secret mechanic that I actually thought was pretty ingenious.
Loved Offspring.
We also got the avatars, which were like mini titans. They weren't broken, but they were actually pretty fun to play with, especially if you were able to slot one in your deck. By the way, the green one goes hard. I can't wait till they do the avatar reprints, but they start mixing up the colors and we start getting the different takes on them if they do go that route. Another thing I have to say is, like, we were fortunate enough to go to the conventions, and the turnout was massive. Shouts out, and it seemed to get increasingly better. Chicago was a massive turnout. Vegas, I mean, if you saw the hall itself, the size of maybe 3 or 4 football fields on the lower level, and then there was a top. It was just nice to see how big the community actually is, and when we actually get together and how many. It's like the symbol of camaraderie amongst the people and how they come there to play, and you have all types of play types and all types of play groups. And legitimately, you know, even with the controversy around, most people came there just to have a good time and have fun. It was a lot of great moments, a lot of great, like we got to meet a lot of great people, which we would have never had the opportunity to meet, play against a bunch of decks, had some fun,
Wait a minute.
had some
Wait.
awkward moments too.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We met some great people, but Ezra, we coming for you, man. Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, I remember the little John Monkey deck. Not John. The I forget the name of
that
the
deck was sick.
Is it not Kubo? What is the name of that stupid monkey? The jumpstart monkey. Yeah, that was crazy. Props off to you, Ezra.
The one that makes the
makes the
tokens?
banana tokens.
That's not very specific.
We were getting
It was
pumped up
it was crazy.
by a preteen. I felt a little embarrassed. I
It was-
almost had to reach for.
It was a murder scene.
Yeah, as soon as we were done, I was about to reach in for the hardcore deck. I was like, I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you this. You know how if you play like FPSs, Derik, those are first-person shooters. But when you play
Thank you.
When you play FPSs and people are talking mad trash in the lobby and they sit there and they one up you, I was like, okay, I'm about to play for real now. My KD is about to be ridiculous. My KDR is about to murder. I was about to wreak vengeance on him.
but
yeah.
So yeah, watch out. If you're in Chicago, Vegas, Atlanta next year, clearly Seth and Ken are waiting.
Especially if you're in Atlanta, because that's our home turf right there. I'll kidnap you and drop you in front of a Waffle House. Don't try me.
I think at that point it's more like a free Uber than a kidnapping. But I mean, like to each their own.
Eating at a Waffle House, that's a threat.
I have, not sober, but I have. So overall positive though, regardless of like, I do think especially that end of the year between Vegas happening, which was obviously like amazing, and then having Bloomborough and having Duskmorn and having Foundations, I think back to back was even because like outside of like there was some criticism of Duskmorn like with the 80s stuff and all that, but outside of that, everything I heard about it, people loved the set. People love Duskmorn, and Foundation seems like one of the most popular and well-loved sets in a long time. Like, so to end the year like that, back to back is wild. Like, that's a really good way to get into 2025. Especially with it was a little bit shaky at the beginning. I know Karlov Manor didn't do great. That was like the peak of the meme of, oh, it's just detectives, and like to have that quick of a turnaround that fast. Yeah, end of the year ended great. So what was the face you got?
Anybody play the Clue game?
Anyone? That's like an actual, like a literal question. Do we know anyone that is?
is anyone willing to admit they played the Clue game?
You might as well admit that you smoke crack.
Like it could have been something. It could have been something cool in concept if we got like a demonstration. If it was advertised, it was just kind of just thrown into the whole Ravnica thing, and it was just like, oh, okay.
You know what I always wonder what they should have do. So I don't know if you guys ever played a game called Mass More, but it's pretty much how about this? It's kind of like Munchkin. So you have commanders, right? But they have special abilities, and you can kind of like kick in the door and face different things. Like your commander can be your player, and then in Munchkin you can kick in the door and fight whatever's at the top. So the top can be a legendary that you have to fight with different attributes, and then the other card, what you have in your hand, is like a deck builder, where you can play spells to see if you can beat that to level up. I'm wondering why they never crossed those genres.
To be honest, Clue could have been exactly that, and I wouldn't know. So I can't even speak on it because I don't know anything. Like it could have been that word for word, and I literally would have no way of telling.
I think there was a board game. I think there was a board involved, maybe.
It could have been. I know there were Shocklands, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anybody out there, tell us. Please, someone in the comments, find someone if you haven't that played Clue. Tell us what the hell it is. We'd love to know. I'm really curious. Now I'm very intrigued by what this Clue thing was from 10 months ago.
Oh, God. We're still talking about the goods?
Yeah, so... yeah, it's still positive. But yeah. So let's get into 2025, though. Because 2025, again, we're not going to get into super detail about what the 2025 schedule is, but looking ahead and getting into some of our resolutions with this, what sets are we most excited about? We already did all that, but it's generally looking, we got, was it Aether Drift first? or Innistrad Remastered is technically first because we have that coming out, which sounds awesome. Got Aether Drift, Tarkir's back, Final Fantasy, Edge of Eternities, the space set, Marvel Spider-Man, and then an unnamed Universes Beyond. I think in general, feels like the hype level for next year is high in the sense of like Tarkir is always going to be a big thing. Final Fantasy is huge. Spider-Man's huge. Again, we've already done an episode on this, so we're not going to go too far into it, but the hype is real. But getting into all of this for next year and getting into, as we get into this in a year of hype, what do we personally want to bring to this year of hype? Because if it's all the greatest Magic things and we don't change it off, we don't grow it all, what was it even for? For better cards and more exciting sets, but that's besides the point. We could start with Ken. Do you have the thing that one of your first goals? I think we should shoot for about 3 each as far as what our resolutions are, what we want to do to grow and get more ingrained in Magic next year. Well, what are you feeling is your first resolution?
My first resolution is just as far as Magic in general, or
like for you personally, your involvement in Magic. It could be you as in your style of play. It could be what you want to bring to the Magic world, how you're going to interact with these new sets.
My goal is to crush as many people as I possibly can.
That was your goal for last year.
I am consistent.
He's consistent, if nothing else.
In what I want to accomplish. And my thing is, if you change your goal, you'll never accomplish it. I wish, my favorite moment when I play Magic is the moment at the end when the realization hits that this person is a goddamn demon. And I look forward to that every time I play a new group of people, because it's like when somebody's baking for a fresh thing of cookies. Like as soon as you smell it, you're like, oh, I know what that is. And it's like you can tell as soon as it turns, and it's like, oh, I'm in the spider's web. I can't go nowhere. Uh-oh, you done messed up, A.A. Ron. And I was like, yeah, you have. And then the light bulbs hit, and it's like, it's funny because everybody that I play against will look at each other in unison like, we need to kill this guy. And that feeling, it's like a hug, all right? It's like hot chocolate while you're peeing in a snowstorm. That is the best way to describe it.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think to you, it's something else that rhymes with hug, and it's something you supposedly don't do. But I think you get high off of it. I'm gonna be honest. I think you get off on trying to be the arch enemy, not just the arch enemy, Sorry, you're like you said, the demon, the antichrist, the one we need to do we need to call a priest to get off the table because I don't think people understand that they may play a game with Ken and they may experience some of that. But I've seen Ken's deck, and I've rifled through his hand sometimes when he not like cheating or anything, like after the game or whatever. It's like you that was in your hand, that was in your deck, and he's choosing not to do these things. People, you got to understand, he's choosing not to start World War V. Like I'm like, why is that in your deck? And he's just like, you never know when you might meet the one. And I'm just, who is this? Is it Joe? who is this? Who is this person or people that you're afraid of? You got to play that card.
And it's hilarious too, because people will sit there and talk trash, and then y'all people don't understand the cards that I don't play. I'll sit there with a handful of stuff like, you know what? I'm gonna let you win this game, but you don't understand that this was the 9th gate of hell right here, and I could have literally usurped your life. I could have sent you home in a comatose state, but in that moment, I was the decider, and I was like, you know what? You live.
So for Ken, his first resolution, we have continued heathenism. And in a way, I'm more confident in saying this. I think this is the first time that I'm ever confident in someone. You will achieve that. I feel very strongly that you will achieve that resolution.
I do have one thing.
Little doubt.
I do want to build a disgusting hug deck that just zaps everybody's will to live. I'm currently
stanky hug, the deodorantless hug.
I'm talking about the right guard is not even fit enough for the left. I'm talking about we about to get I'm going to give everybody the world. I'm going to allow them to play their entire deck just to snatch it.
I'm regretting this a video idea now. This is not. We should not let Ken think about these things. Okay. Said we're gonna go over to you next. Do you have similar plans of world domination, or what is your first thought of a resolution for 2025?
Honestly, it's not too far. No, I was playing. I was gonna say it's not too far from Ken, but no, I do want to try to up my play style. I did do that this year. I talked about playing more powerful cards and more, not necessarily more powerful, I guess in a way more powerful decks. Trying to amp up the power level as much as I could to kind of keep up with a lot of people that are LGS and also tabletop jocks and that whole situation over there with Joe and them. Yeah, that's like a whole different beast. So I challenged myself to kind of have more aggressive, more assertive, more interactive decks in a way. And yeah, I think I was a success in that. A couple of my decks actually made it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, so I'm proud of myself in that vein. But yeah, but those ones that really kind of showed out, and I could really adjust the power within them. So almost in a sense, like Ken, have some stuff that I don't really play, but they're in the deck, but I don't have to always use it. And I think that's pretty good for myself. So I think I want to try to amp it up just a little bit more because some of y'all are still some deviants out there. Talking about you, Ezra. So I want to step it up just a little bit more. Not quite see EDH, but still have a strong deck that I can break out in case of emergency.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot this year in that I think all of our decks have taken steps to get like stronger in the last like year and a half period like that. Like even like we were playing the other night on Spell Table and seeing it's not necessarily the speed at which the games go, but like the things people are doing, stuff gets so much scarier than I think it ever did. And it felt like we were reluctant for a while, and I think we did our best to hold back from it. I think one of the turning points for me was this summer with Ken, where every one of Ken's decks was so scary that I was like, I need to do something more. I am not bringing enough. My pool noodle, I need a pool noodle with some little knife sticking out of the end of it because the pool noodle is not doing it. I cannot beat someone to death with this when he's got a militarized tank coming at me with like robot arms out the side and lightsabers.
Okay, time out, General Grievous. Let me pull back for 2 seconds. We built those decks specifically for battle, okay? That was the main purpose. Y'all act like I kept that heat on me at all points. We knew where we was getting into. We were going specifically for a fight. Now, just because y'all want to come in there with butter knives and handkerchiefs and I came in with a goddamn bazooka, don't you get mad at me because you felt the whirlwind.
Look, this is a gentleman's and a gentle lady's game, all right? So you come in here declaring mass war, and we're just like, hey, we're just trying to have a casual game here. And this man is dropping. What did he? I know what you're talking about, Derik, because it was to the point where it was just like we didn't know if we needed to like. I know we always say kill Ken first, but we didn't know if we really needed to like arch enemy Ken from the jump. Because
it was like 3 games in a row where it was like, and I don't remember these specific cards, but it was the equivalent of like, oh, oops, there's an Omniscience out. I didn't realize that was in the deck. Or like Vorinclex, OG Vorinclex. Nobody's going to get to untap. Whoops. And it was like, it was pieces that I just didn't know Ken had it in him to I thought he liked this a little bit. Love is a very strong word, so I thought he liked this a little bit. And he was doing stuff that it's like, I wouldn't do that to my enemy. And it was like, every game something else popped out that I was like, this is concerning. And after like the 12th time, I remember by the end of that weekend, I didn't care if it was the most like meaningless thing in a game. If I got to do anything to Ken, I was throwing a little celebration. I was like, woo, I destroyed your Felwar stone. Bam, suck it. It's a win for me somehow. Like, it was insane. So I think that, you know, looking ahead, said I kind of agree with you in like finding that happy place of where is like that area to settle, like where we can still power things up but not lose the vibe that we want, if that makes sense. And I think we've done a good job as a play group. Like, we play a lot on Spell Table now. I think when we were at Vegas getting to play a lot of games, all the games felt very like kind of how we wanted them to be. So I think this year was a big adjustment period, but I'm with you, still trying to fine tune going into next year and find ways to like power up some of the decks that I have that maybe don't do enough and finding that happy spot.
Was it your first resolution, or did you have a separate one?
No, so I do have one, and this is a very specific resolution that I guess I need to play every Final Fantasy game I haven't played, because we're getting a Final Fantasy set next year, so it is technically Magic related. I have had a backlog of like Final Fantasy 1, 2, 4, you know, the weird ones where you got the little sprites and the music is just vaguely generic fantasy, and there's not really like it's you don't really know what's going on. You're at like a giant continent and your person is like 1/10 the size of the continent. You kind of just bounce around. Those Final Fantasies. I pointed at the wrong. Those Final Fantasies. I need to play all of those. We're finally getting a Final Fantasy set, and as a huge Final Fantasy fan growing up, I got to stop being lazy, and all the ones I skipped over, I got to complete my Final Fantasy backlog by the time that set drops. So that is a specific, and at this point I'm running out of time, time-crunched resolution for me. I want to get through as many as I can, because I've realized with every time a Universes Beyond stuff comes out, we've already talked about kind of the roller coaster we've all had. I've realized when it's something I care about, I end up loving the set more than just about anything else. Some of these crossovers have been some of my favorite parts of Magic. I know specifically, as y'all have seen, because I've built so many, the Transformers cards, one of my favorite things ever. Like, the fact that, one, Brothers War might be my favorite set ever, just as in general, but I am a massive Transformers fan. So to get to see these characters that I already know, love, and on Magic cards and really appreciate the flavor, versus some of the other Universes Beyond sets, like, I see them, I see the card, and then I look up the character, and I'm like, oh, I see what they did. That's really cool. I want to, for Final Fantasy, since it's something I care about, I want to already be in on all the characters, already even the weird corners of it that I haven't been into. I want to know it before the cards come out. So when release happens, it's just an exciting of like digesting all of this stuff that they've put this work into. Because I know I had that experience with Transformers, and I want to have that again for something else. And I didn't do it for Doctor Who or all these other things. I'll get some of it with Spider-Man, because I know just everybody grew up watching Spider-Man, so I'll have some of that. But for Final Fantasy, I want to go all in on that. And I want to enjoy these Universes Beyond sets more, because it feels like they put so much work into them, flavor-wise. All I can hear about is when someone's a fan of it, they can't stop gushing about, like, how did they even think about that? Like, how did they put these together? I know Lord of the Rings had a ton of it. Doctor Who had a ton of it. So, yeah, that's my thing. I'm going to play these games and hopefully finish at least 2. Some of these are long. I probably won't. But if I don't finish at least 1, I'll be very disappointed in myself.
Side note, Spider-Man will have reach. And his spider web ability is going to be a tap ability where he stuns you, and it's going to be a web capture. I'm just throwing that out there. It's
going to be Frost Titan with extra steps. All right, Ken, what do you got as far as what is a resolution that you have next year that is different from what you've already promised to continue to do to us this past year?
Let's see. I think I want to explore a little bit more at MagicCon. Traditionally, we have, we're kind of siloed in certain areas, but specifically at Chicago, they're doing something great where they're fusing Dungeons and Dragons with Magic the Gathering. I've been playing D&D for like a year now, and I'm really into it now. Speaking of which, I'm actually going to do a reach out and see if somebody wants to DM. We can actually do a special guest DM where we have a bunch of content creators actually play. So I'm gonna see if we can get that together for MagicCon. But I'm actually looking forward to. I know it's gonna be cold as balls in Chicago, but I'm actually looking forward to playing D&D. So that's one element. I'm not too heavy on the lore, so the Tokyo Drift return to the Haunted Mansion and Tack Daddy, whatever. Talk the Star the Star Trek thing.
Star Wars and Tarkir.
Star Wars
I
and
got
Tarkir.
you.
No, what are those things that don't speak English and yell? Tusken Raider. Yeah. But
I was gonna say Italians, but
Derik is.
I'm going to see my family this week. I'm sorry, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm going. That's the first thing I thought of when you said that. I'm going to see my family tomorrow. That's
just had a
basically
flashback to Family Guy.
Yeah.
Beepity boppity, boopity beepity boppity.
It's not far off. Yeah, that's basically my week next week. So yeah. All right. Sorry, not to derail. Okay, cool. I actually love that one. I think we could all do more of that. Like MagicCons, have so much. I mean, we talked about Magic on Advice before we went to Vegas, and that's such a big thing. Is they're overwhelming. There's so much happening, and we've been to a ton at this point, but there's still so much I've never even looked at because you get there, and it's like so many people so many activities that are going on, so many like you blink and the whole thing's over and you've done 2 things, and it's so hard to like. So yeah, I think that's a good thing that we can all kind of do more of. If you're going to events this year, try to find some stuff you haven't tried yet. Is there a creator event? Is there a unknown event? Is there a draft? Is there something you've just never given a shot? And jump in on it. And the D&D thing's awesome. I think that's a great way to pull more people into the event, but also like if you're only tentatively interested in Magic's a really hard thing. It's hard to sit down at a table if you haven't played. And unless it's like a pre-scheduled event to just be like, I want to play Magic. It's like, well, good for you. Go spend 17 paychecks, come back with the deck, and then I'm going to sit here for 12 hours and teach you the rules. But it feels like D&D is even easier. So if you have a friend who doesn't play Magic, but they want to see what a Magic con's like, that's awesome. Cool. You can come. We can get your pre-con. You can try a game, but you could also go play a D&D for hours. So I think that's
one
really
of my
cool.
favorite moments was in MagicCon Vegas because I have a friend from Atlanta who's never been to a convention, has never been out to Vegas, and he went there and he was like, it was like one of the best experiences that he's ever had, and I was like, okay, just glad that you had that. So it's always fun introducing new people, and that's one thing I'm looking forward to next year too. As a matter of fact, I even actually plan on trying CED. I couldn't even get that. I couldn't even get that lie out. I'm sorry. I couldn't even get that lie out. I'd rather wipe my ass with a burning cactus before I play that game. I'd rather sit in a pool and try to part the sea like I'm Moses. I'd rather eat hot glass from a funnel cake dispenser than play that game.
I got lots. I mean, there's so many burning cactuses in the desert by me. So if you need one, I got you.
Your whole state is burning.
Easy access.
Arizona is like the venereal disease of the U.S.
Jeez. Okay.
Damn. Said, what do you got? I don't even want to come back. It's just mean. Okay, so what you?
He just put the knife in and started twisting.
Yeah.
All right.
Like a campfire.
Salt and bleach and everything.
Put the knife in and then you start.
All right. So my second resolution, all of that you definitely said sounds nice. I'm probably going to definitely explore more in at the cons, especially in Gen Con. I never venture off at Gen Con. I always stick in the Magic areas. This is still part of just a tangent off of what you were saying. But my second resolution, I said it earlier, I might build a unthemed deck. I don't know. I don't.
Wow. Okay, that's almost like that hit me the same way as Ken just saying.
Yeah, but
he's gonna play EDH.
I'm for real about.
You are
this
the most. Yeah, well, that's why it hit me because I'm like, you are the most adamantly anti-unset person I know.
It reminds me. I put it like this: playing reminds me of why I don't play Munchkin anymore. The unsets remind me so much of the wackiness of Munchkin, in a sense that, like I said, I've said this in a previous episode of like when I first started playing like tabletop card games, like Munchkin was one of the first ones I played before Magic. And it's like Ken alluded to earlier, or said earlier, it's like you're kicking in a door, fighting a monster, building up yourselves, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but in card game form. And it started getting kind of wacky with the whole additions of like, not even really just the themes necessarily, but just the whole wackiness of what the cards were doing. It was like, your enemy pushes you off a cliff, but you survive somehow, -10 or something like that. That's how cards were getting. It was just like, this doesn't feel fun anymore. You're just printing cards just to print cards now. And that's kind of how I feel about unsets. Like some of them are jokes, but I don't get a lot of them. And then it's just like, I think we're just printing cards just to print cards. So that's been one of my aversions to unsets. And then it also it says rules, screw the rules. There are no rules. We do what the card says. And I get that in Commander and you know, that we do that too. But like, we really have to do what the card says, and that scares me when it comes to unsets. So I don't always jive with unsets.
There was one card that was like, go and buy a pack of Magic cards and put them in your deck. And I was like, what kind of methamphetamine based card is this? What Simon Says Squid Games bullshit are we running right now? Then what was like
Well, no, you got to finish what you're saying. I'm sorry. It just made me
then
think of
what
something.
was like rip the card up or something, and then wherever the pieces land or something. By the way, Universes Beyond Squid Games, and you literally have to do whatever the card says in person. I'm just throwing that out there. I want 5%.
Of what the lawsuits that come out of that. They'll send you the bill for that 5%. I promise. No, Ken, when you're saying that, so it's funny. I am in a weird. I don't like unsets much at all. I don't find it fun. I don't find the goofiness fun. But what's funny about it is, one of the best Magic experiences I've had this year was playing the party box that Vince had. So, if anybody's not familiar, and I'm not. There's a Vince. We could link it in the description. Vince Pleasant Kenobi. If anybody knows Pleasant Kenobi, I would assume he loves to yell about things on the internet, and he loves milk. Really fucking loves milk. So, and he loves Ken based on the hand raise. He loves milk and Ken. Those are his two favorite things.
I said I like milk.
But he does. He has it's called a party. Oh, okay. That's what it was. I was like, I don't know what that. So what I'm saying is he has a thing called a party box where it's basically just a massive stack of cards. General rules, they don't even all have to be Magic cards. It's just a bunch of non-land cards, there's like Ricky Martin trading cards, there are Pokemon cards, there could be anything. And effectively, everybody shares the same deck. You sit at a table like a Commander game, and then you just play the game. Anything can be a land that taps for any colors. You can play it face down. It's a whole thing. Again, we'll link Vince's video in the description where he kind of lays out everything he like invented for this. And it is one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. For me, that genuinely captures the goofiness of what unsets are trying to do. Because it felt genuine. Like when we're sitting there, all the dumb shit we pulled off in the 2 games we played felt amazing. It felt like a mix between like a legacy draft and an unset, but in the greatest way possible. Like, so maybe if I have a better understanding, I just can understand what Un's trying to do. I'll get more of that feeling from it. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt like that party box does what I want unsets to do. But I get the desire for that because it's such a cool, unique experience. But when it misses hard, and that's how I feel with some of the stuff where it's like you said, almost like with the Munchkin stuff. Like I don't want to do that. Like I see what the card says. To me, it's not funny. Like that's not. So it's such a delicate balance.
Yeah,
there.
I don't do unsets, undercooked chicken, or underwear. Now moving on to the next point. Be that as it may.
So my next resolution. This one I actually might end up doing a full video, just a full on like Derik rant video on. I'm coming up with a new system for myself this year for upgrading my decks. Because I noticed that I don't typically keep many decks at a time, and I love to like upgrade them and stuff, but there's so many different versions of cards and shinies and all this that it started to lose the fun a little bit for me. Back when it was just like, you have a foil version, you have a masterpiece, that's it. It was so much fun hunting down all the foils, masterpieces. I wanted to make my deck shiny. But it has gotten to the point now where it's like, well, everything is shiny, so nothing feels special. Nothing feels like a memory in my deck if everything is just, I just got the shiny version of everything. So what I want to do now is basically have achievement systems for each of my decks. And at certain achievement levels, I upgrade something in there. So if one example that I have that branched this idea is I've been playing my Megatron deck a lot. Love Megatron. It's super fun. And Megatron, as a card mechanic, is effectively a tank that just like shoots things. He just takes your cards and shoots them at people or at people's creatures. So I wanted to keep like a kill count. And like every certain number of kills that Megatron has on a creature, like note it. And at certain kill counts, almost like achievements in like a FPS game. Bam, Ken, I knew what that was. Suck it. Almost like achievements in that like experience and stuff. Upgraded at a certain level, and then let's say I get to 100 kills or 500 kills, I upgrade it to like the shiny $200 shattered glass Megatron for the deck, and that's like the end achievement. And have different things like that for my decks. For one, it's like an incentive to pull it out and play it, but also do interesting things. It could be something like in spider spawning. I have to keep track of how many spiders I've made, and I need to reach like 1,000 spiders before I get an upgrade for it. And so it's like, oh shit, now I not only do I want to play this deck, I have a specific way I want to play it, and I'm going to keep notes. And as an OCD person, it makes me so happy to have like a very specific number saved in a Word file somewhere that I can keep, or an Excel sheet that I'll have and track all this. And so like every one of I think I have 9 total decks, about 5 or 6 that I'm playing more regularly, and just have a system like that for all of them in 2025. And that way there's like a very designated way to control. One, it's a great way to budget, because if I haven't done shit to deserve it, I'm not going to buy new shiny stuff. But on top of that, yeah, I can't wait. Like the Megatron one specifically, having like a document of all the creatures that Megatron has shot, and then like having my experience level ups and knowing I'm working towards, I want that $200 Megatron so bad, let me get there. Yeah, that all seems like something that'll make my decks more fun to play, more fun to upgrade, and just take some of the monotony out of having a small number of decks.
Oh, just real quick. Yeah. So I was already kind of doing that with my decks. That's why some of my decks don't last that long. If you kind of notice, I'm mentally kind of doing these things. I don't necessarily broadcast or advertise it, but I do have specific goals for my deck that I try to reach. So for example, the Blood of the Avatar, I forgot his name already. Oh my God. The Blood Avatar. Yeah. It's been
The
so
Blood
long.
Avatar. Yeah.
Blood Avatar, I kept that deck around so long because I had a specific goal of, I want to sacrifice or create two goals. Create as many Blood Avatars as possible at one time on a board. I think I've achieved 4 or 5 in a game. I haven't gotten more than that. And then I wanted to create as many tokens just as in general as possible. Not even necessarily sacrifice a Blood Avatar, but just flood the board as many tokens as possible. And I managed to do that in the last time that I created, that I piloted that deck. So I was like, okay, I think Blood Avatar has reached its peak for what I was planning to do with it. And I dismantled it, or what I'll do is I'll not necessarily dismantle it, but I'll shift the focus of the deck. All right, now we're going to try a different goal. And that's kind of what I'm doing with Quorum, the Undertaker, right now. You probably haven't even noticed that you've seen some variations of the deck, because I try to, like I said before, previous videos, I try to push it as far as I can. I think my current goal was to get his power as ridiculously high as possible, because his power is based on the highest power of any creature in a graveyard. So there are some wacky cards that you can throw in a graveyard where it's like star cards. Like if you meet a certain criteria, then your quorum is going to also meet that criteria as well and gain that power. So I want to do some crazy stuff like that, and of course mill you guys to death as well. I've achieved that, so I've earned the right to shift the focus of the deck now.
So I'm gonna.
Yeah, it to me it makes a big difference. Sorry, Ken. Yeah.
Oh no, since everybody doing that, I want to do one too. Except I got an idea. I'm gonna take my commander and I'm gonna take a picture of it, and I'm gonna put it on a page of a death note. And every time I kill somebody with it, I'm gonna make them sign the book. That way I can keep a log of all the people I don't bury with that commander. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Never change.
Similar
Never
idea.
change.
Yeah. Okay.
Go up to MagicCon being like, "Hello, victim, sign my book," and then what? But I will say, because for me personally, I just like a closing thought, but to build off of what Seth was saying, I have found over time that the more I can personalize and have experiences tied to a deck, the more I'll enjoy it. Like it has to fit in today's game. It feels like for me, it has to fit in a certain happy space. If it can't be too slow or too weak, or I'm never going to play it because too many decks are too strong, and it can't be pub stompy. Like my Titania deck, love to death, it's just too strong. I don't play it anymore. So it needs to be somewhere. It has to fit in there. But once it does, it's so much more about like the memories and the cool stuff. And so I think having like it's cool to hear that you've already been doing that, because that sounds like such a fun way to engage with the game that, yeah, I can't wait to, again, I'm going to do a full video on this and probably like check-ins and stuff, but it seems like a cool way to basically make it so your deck is not only personalized to you, but the experiences are something you remember. It's not just, I played a bunch of games with it. It's something that, I know Joey from EDH Rec has done it. I've heard of a few people doing like tracking their games throughout the year. I don't have the attention span to do that.
Yeah, Dana from EDH Rec does it too. Yeah.
Dana, okay.
I don't keep a death note on me at all times.
But I love that concept, because to me, it makes something that, I mean, you ask me how my last 20 Commander games went, I would just kind of sit there like, I don't know. But like, it like solidifies it. It makes it like a real tangible thing. that you can track and you have memories of and you can look back for. So it's kind of my own personal way of I guess it is similar to that in a way, finding a way to personalize it and trying to make the most of those Magic experiences, not just having I played a game, whatever, getting the most out of it. All right, let's do just one final round because we've been talking for a while, as we like to do, and just our one final thing that we want to bring into next year. And now this can be, again, across the board. It could be as a channel. Let's talk about that. You know what? Let's do this last one as a channel. What do we see as our biggest goal going into next year? Because that'll focus it, and then we can kind of bring it to a close. Ken, aside from some sort of plot against Sed and I, again, we can't take stuff from previous years, so we already know that's going on. What do you have? What do you want to see from One More Mana going into 2025?
So for One More Mana, of course, I want to, stay on the trajectory that we are and continue growing. There's a couple of side projects that are in the work, especially on my end, that I've been working on. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a couple of redesigns as we speak. The first one should be ready by the beginning of next year. So I'm very interested in that. I'll present it to you guys after I'm done, just so I can give you a demo. But it's a couple of things I've been working on, getting to the mix to release, and I think it should be pretty fun. Also, there's a couple of collaborations that I want to do. There's a couple of skits that we want to do as well that I have planned. So next year is going to be very exciting.
I love how we don't even know what it is. That's exciting. It's so exciting. Instead, and I don't even know what's going on. This is, yeah.
I'm gonna save mine for last. You can go, Derik.
Okay. Mine's I guess resolution wise, I guess kind of a two-parter. First part's gonna be, you mentioned collabs. Definitely want to stick with that. That's, to me, it's been the most fun part of what we've gotten to do is collabing with people. Because it feels like we get to see people at conventions and a lot of our friends, but very rarely do you get to spend like an extended period of time with people. And so getting to have those extended connections, whether it's like a collaboration where you spend a weekend filming with somebody or just more extended hangouts, getting to kind of spend more time with people in the community that we're friends with, it's always awesome when we get to, but kind of focusing on that. As far as for specifically just to like what we do on the channel, we've talked about it a lot, but definitely working in more gameplay aspects. I think one of the more fun things that we get to see that maybe y'all don't get to see as much is like us in game. Even when we're at conventions and stuff, it feels like when fans get to interact with us, see us in the games, it makes all the random shit we yell make a little bit more sense. So I look forward to, in some way, incorporating a more regular way for you to get to see us playing, maybe even get to play with y'all, getting it in 2025.
Oh yeah, just one more thing real quick. And to get Derik to meet Post Malone, that's one of the final things we need to cross off the list.
I should pick the most random. We should pick as a channel the most random possible person to want to meet. Like not even necessarily like just the most random possible person who I'm trying like Steve from Blue's Clues. Like we want Steve from Blue's Clues to be in a Commander game with us. And that's just like what we do as a channel. Like no rhyme or reason, but that's what we want to accomplish. I think we should pick the more obscure the better because it shows we worked for it.
Okay.
We'll come back to that later.
All right. So my big thing that I wanted to say for last, I think that I want to reveal to you guys that I think that we should definitely get back into gameplay for the channel. I think it'll be pretty good, and the people seem to want. Oh yeah, you just said it.
I stole it.
I'll expand on it though. Yeah, this is something that we have been talking about behind the scenes. We have definitely missed the gameplay. It was something that we tested out in the early days to kind of see if we can do that. But then I think COVID started, and then we kind of put the kibosh on that and kind of just decided to just see if we can try to do some stream gameplays rather than in person. We've tested out the recording in-person gameplays and all, as well as stream gameplays. Now with Derik in another state, we're probably going to look into more so the stream gameplays and maybe surprise you with an in-person gameplay. I don't know. Derik travels. We're not going to Arizona.
Yeah, I do. I like planes.
We're not going to Arizona, but Derik comes to Atlanta. We're going to definitely put a very strong effort into making sure that happens. I'll just add a addendum onto that in a sense of we're also going to probably to make this happen, we're probably going to need to use Discord, which is something we've been actively avoiding, mostly because we don't live in a matrix and none of us understand Discord that well. But we're, like I said, going to try to make an effort to see if we can port our community over mostly from Patreon and from the YouTube comments over to Discord as well, and try to create and craft a very, very, very stable, very funny, as well as creative and comforting community with the One More Mana crew. So if you're listening to this, hopefully if you are already part of our subscription with YouTube or Patreon, we'll be sending out the Discord information as well when we do get that going. So yeah, gameplays and get in this community together, because we know that you guys want more, so we definitely want to deliver.
Hell yes, yeah, I'm excited about that. I think it's something that we had a few even on some recent. We had like comments on old gameplay videos recently asking about it. So yeah, it was mostly like a time resources thing. It's tough. We try to. I mean, we give as much time as we basically have available to this, but it's something that we definitely want to prioritize, and it's fun. Like honestly, with my current schedule, with like life, I don't play Magic unless I'm on spell table with like Sed and a couple of our friends. Like that's my only Magic time period. So getting into gameplay will kind of force me to prioritize it more and get back into making it a more regular thing. So looking forward to it. Yeah, and then obviously I forgot the name already, but whoever the person you played it with at the convention, that's the last channel goal. Revenge
Ezra.
On the commander that makes bananas.
Ezra's name.
Yes.
Nah.
No, sorry, I was not involved in this game, so I missed out on all the drama. All right, so I think we are. Y'all have listened to us ramble enough, so we're at about that time. Hopefully, y'all are also looking forward to 2025 in the comments. You can let us know a couple things. One, what's something you want to see from us, from the channel, going into 2025. One thing we didn't mention is a big change this year is we went into long form. We really did change from like 15-minute videos all the way to these like hour-long rants. The reception's been great, but little things like that are stuff that we like to tweak. So let us know in the comments, what do you want to see from us, and what are you looking forward to most from Magic in 2025? Do you have any resolutions involving that? Just empty your thoughts in the comments below, and we will we'll read them. And we don't judge; we just judge each other. Y'all are good.
Don't.
Oh, sorry, Ken does. He said, and I won't. So, however you can feel about that, you get a 1/3 of a judgment for whatever you say. And then make sure when you're thinking about these resolutions, if you're doing what I'm doing and you're upgrading your deck based on random stats and achievements, hit up our link in the description for TCG Player and get the cards there so you can show us some love in the process, because we always appreciate that. Maybe you want to upgrade your style when you get a certain achievement points, and you can do that by rocking your Into the AM, because Kenneth likes to talk about dripping in space and sometimes screaming at the same time. It's
Dripping
just part
and
of what he
screaming.
does. He's a space
Dripping
dripper,
and
and we all
screaming,
know it.
Man.
It's just all the screaming. Yeah, that's all he knows.
And as you guys go into the new year, have a safe year, have a safe holidays. Argue with your family, but at the same time make up, because it's been tough for some people, but we always expect the best. Thank you guys for rocking with us for this year. Like and subscribe. But until next time.
And also buy Heavy Play, because we didn't forget about Heavy Play. If you want some fancy stuff for your families, they got amazing deck boxes, play mats. And you can even check out Prof did a review of their stuff recently. So if you are interested in like seeing an in-depth breakdown, we got links into their stuff on their website. They got videos, but Prof did do a playmat, deck box, and everything review for them. So if you want to get a more in-depth look, obviously Prof does the best product reviews out there. So check those out as well. Now I'll let you say all the wholesome stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, remember, if you want to handle your light work, play heavy. So again, everybody have fun. We'll see you guys until the next year for another wild adventure. Stay safe. And until next time, get out of here.